Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something really fundamental. It's this idea that, well, ancient cultures seem to just get it intuitively.
Right.
But our modern science is maybe only now, starting to fully catch up.
Yeah.
We're talking about the mind-body connection.
Exactly. And not just in a simple feeling down makes you tired kind of way. We're going deeper into how your thoughts, your beliefs, even your consciousness itself might actually be, shaping your physical form.
We've got some fascinating source material for this. Excerpts that look at consciousness in maybe a different way.
Yeah.
Not just from the brain, but maybe something the brain works with.
And then how that inner world connects to, your physical self.
Okay. So the mission here for this deep dive is to pull out the key threads. How does that mental state actually physically mold the body? We want to get past seeing the body as just a machine, right?
Right, precisely. To explore that dynamic link.
Okay, so one of the first things that jumps out is this real difference between ancient wisdom and how science traditionally approached it.
Yeah. You look back at healers, shamans, they really seem to operate with this understanding that the inner state and outer form were linked.
They worked with intention, spirit. It wasn't just about the physical herbs or whatever. The body was part of something bigger.
Exactly. It was often seen as embedded in consciousness and energy fields. If you were out of balance inside,
it would show up physically.
Right. That was the idea. And then modern science came along, focusing on, taking things apart, analyzing the body like a complex machine.
Separate parts doing separate jobs.
Kind of, yeah. But now it feels like science is, circling back almost, using these incredible new tools.
And finding evidence that sounds a lot like what those ancient traditions were saying all along.
That's what's so interesting. Feels like neuroscience, psychology.
Yeah.
They're providing actual measurable proof.
Proof of the connection.
Yeah. Showing how things like chronic stress or intense emotions or even just what you expect to happen can measurably change your hormone levels, how your immune system functions, right down to the cellular level, maybe even gene expression.
Wow. Okay, that brings us straight to the placebo effect, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
It's just wild. You give someone a sugar pill, say it's powerful medicine.
And they often get better. Their symptoms actually improve.
That's belief, pure belief, creating a physical change.
It really highlights the power of expectation, doesn't it? The mind focuses on healing, and it seems to kickstart actual physiological processes. We see it a lot in pain management studies, for example. The placebo response can be surprisingly strong.
But then, there's the dark side of that coin, the nocebo effect.
Right, the flip side.
And this one is kind of unsettling. You tell someone a perfectly harmless sugar pill might cause nausea.
And suddenly they start feeling nauseous. It powerfully shows how negative expectations, fear, focusing on potential harm can actually prompt the body to create those negative physical symptoms. Consciousness shaping the body, but for ill this time.
It really makes you think about psychosomatic illness then. Because these aren't just people making it up, are they?
No, not at all. We're talking about real, tangible physical symptoms. Things like chronic headaches, digestive upset, persistent pain, even skin conditions or fatigue.
But without a clear physical cause that doctors can find with standard tests.
Often, yes. The idea is that deep emotional distress or maybe unresolved trauma, chronic stress, this internal disharmony disrupts the body's natural balance.
Like that chronic stress response you mentioned.
Exactly. It's meant for short bursts, fight or flight, but if it stays activated long-term because of mental or emotional states...
It starts causing physical wear and tear. Yeah. Real changes.
Well, tangible physical changes, yes, leading to a whole range of symptoms.
Okay. And then there's neuroplasticity. This is where it gets, for me, really, really compelling. This idea that our brains aren't fixed, like concrete. They can actually change.
Absolutely. It's the brain's ability to reorganize itself physically. It forms new connections between neurons, prunes old ones.
Based on what we do and think.
Based on mental activity, yes. Learning, experiences, what you focus on, repeated actions, even just your thoughts.
So wait, what you dwell on, what you practice, it literally changes the physical structure of your brain.
That's the essence of it. It physically alters the brain's architecture and how it functions. Think about learning a musical instrument or a new language. Studies show actual physical changes in the brain regions involved.
That's incredible. Now, the source material also brings in this much bigger perspective from Walter Russell.
There's Russell's cosmic view.
It's pretty mind-bending. His idea that the whole universe is fundamentally mental.
Yeah.
That it originates in like a universal mind.
And that what we see as physical matter is actually crystallized thought or energy shaped by consciousness.
It's a huge concept. How does that connect back to, my headache or my brain changing?
Well, it's a leap for sure. But if you consider Russell's idea as a potential backdrop, then the mind-body connection we see in ourselves, the placebo, the nocebo, neuroplasticity, could be seen as like a smaller scale example of that principle.
A microcosm.
Sort of.
Yeah.
The source suggests our individual minds might be like sparks of that universal consciousness. And because of that connection, maybe we can influence the conditioned light and energy, as Russell might put it, that makes up our own bodies.
Conditioned light and energy. So he saw matter not as solid stuff, but as energy patterns.
That's a way to put it, yes. Energy patterned by consciousness, by thought, originating from that universal mind.
Okay, so then our thoughts aren't just these private internal things floating around in our heads.
According to this perspective, no, they're more like active forces, maybe vibrations or energy signals or intentions.
That can actually interact with our body.
Because the body itself is seen as responsive to consciousness. It's made of that same fundamental stuff, that patterned light or energy. So the thought energy can influence the body energy.
Right. And our beliefs then? They're like the blueprints.
That's a good way to think about it. Deeply held beliefs are core assumptions about ourselves and the world. They act like instructions.
Instructions that shape our physical form. Either keeping things in balance or creating problems.
Exactly. Promoting harmony or creating discord. Yeah.
Wow. That really puts a lot of weight on what's going on in our heads, doesn't it? A real sense of responsibility.
It does. If our thoughts are actively sculpting our reality, including our physical selves, well, that makes awareness pretty important.
It suggests we have maybe more agency, more influence over our own health and well-being than we usually think.
That's a crucial implication, yes. A much more active role.
So the mind isn't just in the body, like a ghost in a machine. It's constantly shaving it.
Like a sculptor maybe working with this fundamental universal clay, as you put it. Or like a conductor.
Leading the orchestra.
Leading the symphony of vibrations that make up our physical being, yeah.
Which brings us to that quote from Zoran in the material. It really landed with me.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Your body is the story your mind tells with light and bone, breath and blood. Choose your words, your beliefs, your intentions wisely, for they are the cosmic ink.
Powerful imagery. Cosmic ink.
It really is. So, okay, the main takeaway here seems crystal clear. Your mind has significant power over your physical body. Real influence.
And this isn't just some, new age idea floating out there. It has roots deep in ancient wisdom.
And now modern science, in its own way, is finding more and more evidence that points in the same direction.
Which, as the source notes, can feel like a slightly terrifying truth when you really let it sink in.
It really can be. So for you listening, maybe just sit with that for a moment. How could understanding this connection more deeply maybe empower you?
To take a more active part in your own health, your own well-being.
Yeah. What if those physical limits you feel? What if they're actually more changeable, more influenced by your mind than you currently believe?
It's definitely something worth thinking about.
A lot to ponder, for sure.